you can. Now you got to be quiet.
Hello, my SPAC friends and family. It is Tuesday, and it's shortly after 2:00 here on the West Coast. And you know it must be time for SPAC Chat. And today we are back. We have some problems connecting with our speaker, but we've got her back. We rescheduled it because we knew you all wanted to see this information. We're super glad you're here. We are live broadcasting on our Facebook page, our LinkedIn page, our YouTube, and our Instagram. And all of these broadcasts are permanently stored on our Facebook page as well as our YouTube channel. Now, make sure that you all comment because we are able to bring comments in, questions you may have. And at the very end of this broadcast, I will be sharing some very important announcing news about our SPAC Young's Creative Scholarship, how your high school seniors that you're working with can apply and possibly get a $1,500 scholarship from SPAC. Okay, that's it for me. Let's get this hot topic started as I toss it over to our host, Calvin Harrell. Calvin, I think you're muted.
Wow, such a production system, and I'm on mute. Good afternoon, good morning, or good evening, no matter where you are in the day or tomorrow, because, you know, we got time zones that people are across when we deal with SPAC. We're an international organization that's located here in the United States. I am excited to have somebody that was one of the top speakers at our conference this year based on the surveys that were submitted by our attendees through a Whova app. That app has been a valuable resource. Heck, it's on my cell phone. It's one of the apps that's on my facing page, the main page that I see, so that I can connect with members and vendors on a regular basis. But Whova allowed us to collect data on all of the speakers from those people, those attendees that submitted. And Miss Emily Davis was one of the top-rated presenters. She's with Click Studios out of Dallas, Fort Worth. She again was one of the top speakers, and her program was on goal setting. You know, it was one of those things that people seem to find great value in, and we certainly hope that she's going to be able to share some insights from today. She started her company in 2011 and doing weddings. You know the wedding world, folks, and you know that they're coming. Hello, we're getting a lot of new people that are moving into the volume sector of the industry because they know that it's sustainable and it's repeatable. And it's one of those business models that actually works within the artistic field of photography. She worked 2011 doing weddings, and then she moved from weddings in 2017 and started doing preschools. She ran those preschools up through the pandemic, or until the pandemic. And then following the pandemic is when she jumped into the volume school and sports market using Photo Day. That's her provider or her servicer that she posts her images through and sells her products through. She's using Photo Day. So Emily, let us know, talk to us about the idea of planning and goal setting. So many people jump into the business feet first. Yeah, they have this vision, but it's not really goal driven. And so in setting up goals, you can set target dates and timelines and things that can happen and occur that will help all of our businesses. So share with us some insights that you've been able to share with others, or that you shared actually at the conference.
Mm-hmm. Well, for our goal setting, what we do for Click Studios is we really look at the year before and then decide in the previous year what our goals are going to be for the following year based on the numbers of each month. And that's kind of hard to do when it's your first year of business. So when I jumped into volume schools and sports, I was doing that all by myself the very first year. In summer 2020 to summer 2021, it was just me. And so my goals were, I want to have a better year than what I had for my best wedding year doing schools and sports. And I knew that, like, you know, doing small jobs that I could do by myself, I could make about what I would make at a wedding at one of these smaller volume jobs. So my goal was to have about 30 volume jobs for that year, and I was able to surpass that. And then at the end of 2021, in November, I hired my studio manager, Cameron, sort of just jumped off a cliff with that and said, if I hire this guy, I'm going to have help with editing. I'm going to have help with shooting. We can take bigger jobs. We can make more money. So I'm committing to paying this guy a salary for his family. And, are we going to have the money? And so what I was able to do with that was kind of offload some stuff off of my plate onto his plate, as far as answering emails, some of the editing, some of the shooting. We were doing a lot of shooting together back then, but then I really evolved into the sales role, and I was selling almost full time. So account management.
Yeah. It's really interesting. And I've often referred to, and some people might take offense to it, and I don't ever want to be an offensive person. But I've always said that, oftentimes photographers perceive themselves as a business when they're really a hustle. And what I mean by that is that just as you were in the hustle when you were doing it yourself, those 30 weddings that you were doing a year, generating this, that, and then you moved to the preschools and you were in it by yourself. The hustle is if we use street talk, the hustle is that boy that stands on the corner selling dime bags. Hello, it's just, if you're not on the corner selling in the rain, you're not making any money.
Right.
Well, you've built your business now. You've moved your business into the realm of operating a business enterprise, which allows you to concentrate on the building of the business as opposed to working in the business. Doesn't mean you don't still work in the business, but you're actually building the business, which is a wonderful thing.
Right. These days I shoot about once a month, and I'm focused on big picture growth and helping where, help needs to be, but I'm not in the office every day anymore. And I've got Cameron, who's running the show. He's the studio manager. He does all the staffing with our 1099 staff and make sure everything's running smoothly with editing. And then Kelsey is our sales and accounts manager. So she does all of our prospect marketing, getting us new accounts, keeping the ones that we've got. And she does an incredible job of keeping the accounts that we've already got. So when I'm setting the goals for the year, I know I can count on almost all of our accounts coming back. You can't get every single one, because sometimes, oh, my sister-in-law started doing photography, we're just going to hire her. Okay, we'll see you next year. Because if you've got a huge league and you go to somebody who doesn't have those processes in line, you're going to have a rough time. So Kelsey runs that for us. And then I have another full-timer, Deja, who is a lead photographer for us. She goes out on jobs and takes crews with her. And then we've got probably 10 photographers that we let shoot individually for us, who are 1099ers. And then all of our posers and stuff are high school kids.
Wonderful. Did you find the main question that people had when you were on the speaking platform, and then afterwards? Because there's always post questions that come up. What were the type of questions that you were being asked at that point?
Well, I think when it comes to setting the goals, like that specific thing, the question that I got asked the most is, what if I'm just starting? How do I go back to last year and set my goals based off that if there is no last year? And I was facing that in 2020. So my volume business is not very old. So just take this, if you're watching this as somebody who's like just jumping into volume, it does not take long to go from $0 to $1 million studio if you're willing to take risks and willing to hire people, hiring the right people, adults, and paying them a proper salary. You can build your business really, really big, really, really fast. And then the other thing that I got asked a lot was just about staffing and how I get my people and keep my people, and how they are critical to the goal setting and the volume growth. I pay my two main people, Cameron and Kelsey, they get a commission on gross sales every single week. So it's in their best interest to get things turned around fast, to get things out there selling. If we have a month where, we've got a week left and we think we might come up short, I've got them sending out last call emails and text messages and whatever we need to do to get those sales up to meet the goal for the month.
Outstanding. So you're establishing specific sales target goals for the organization, and they're aware of it, and they get to share in that when they attain that particular goal.
Right.
That is wonderful. You got a Facebook user. What's the determining factor that you used in deciding to go from solo to hiring a full-time staff? And I think I kind of alluded to that when I spoke of the hustle versus the business owner. the reality is, and you need to answer it, I'm sure, but the reality is when you're solo, it's all on you.
Right.
And your growth is absolutely going to be limited based on that.
Right.
When you have others that are in your charge, especially when they're competent. So give us your response to that one.
So the determining factor on going solo to hiring full-time staff at the beginning was I was limited in what I could do. I did not want to be, I was having to kind of turn down leagues because I would have people come to me and say, hey, I have, 100 teams, and doing it just myself, I would have to go out there on weeknights, a full week to get that done. And they would say, no, we're not looking to do that. We've got a photographer. He's been in business for 1,000,000 years, and he's not very good, but we're just going to keep him because we want to put it on game day. And so it was kind of getting to the point where I had to hire somebody. And I could have gone 1099, but I could see for the future, like if I'm going to grow this and get it to where we can shoot 6 stations at a place and be out of there in 3 hours, that's what I needed to do, was have a full-time staff. So hiring Cameron was for sure jumping off a cliff into the unknown. It was so scary. But I hired him in November, the end of November. And by May, I had booked so much stuff for spring that on May 1st, is that right? May 1st or March 1st, sometime during the spring, we hired our first office girl. And that was the easiest hire of my life because we were drowning. Every day was like, how are we going to get all this stuff done that we have to get done? So hiring our first little office girl, she was a college girl. We hired her full time. She was doing college at night and working with us in the day. No camera experience. She didn't shoot for us. She just edited and answered emails, and it took her 8 hours a day to get that done. So we did that. And then I hired Kelsey, and hiring her was to get me off that job. I didn't want to be selling anymore. And I knew that we could grow the photography part of it even more if I was not spending all my time selling and I could be the big dreamer for the business. So she was an easy hire also.
Yeah. One of the things that I'm hearing as an undertone here is that growth is painful. And if you're risk adverse, then don't do it, because you have the opportunity, the chance that you will lose. Nothing's going to fall. Everything is not going to be 100% in place when you launch. No matter what you do, folks. It's kind of like going out on a job. You can plan the job perfectly, check all the equipment before you leave, and something will hit the fan, and all of a sudden you got to scramble and make do. So one of the questions that somebody asked, was it too much on your plate that what made you help you with your determination to grow the business, or was it something else?
Well, at first it was too much on my plate. That was why I hired Cameron and Josie. But by the time I had hired Kelsey, I kind of had a bigger picture for the business. I have a 6 and a 7-year-old who at that time were probably 3, 4, 5. And I didn't want to miss every baseball game and every soccer game and every softball game. I wanted to be able to be there on the weekends. And I knew that running a solo business, that was never going to happen. And now I was able to see to the future and see that, like, if I can get my full-time staff up where they can take people out on jobs alone, I can have 1099ers come in and help them, and they run the jobs, and then I don't have to be on every single job.
Helicopter view of your business. You stood back, you looked at it and said, okay, what direction do I want to go? And my personal life is really important in this equation. I recall, it's been a number of years now, but I recall when I had my children, and I work all the time. I love what I do, so I work. It's my hobby. When I had children, and my dad, my mom said, well, how are you going to, you're not going to be able to be doing X, Y, and Z. Oh, no. I'm taking the business a different direction, because when my kids are in school and playing ball, I'm going to be able to be at every game, at every event, because that's the strategic plan that I have in place. Lo and behold, just a few short years later, while they were in elementary school, there was no basketball coach. Now, Calvin is not a basketball player. Calvin understands discipline. Calvin understands physical, activity, even though it doesn't look like it, Corey. Calvin understands these things, but I was able to literally walk away from the business at 3 o'clock every day for practice. And the business kept going, and it grew and it grew. And so you're absolutely right. Step back, look at the business in a whole, and your life is a part of the business, and make sure that you schedule your life as a part of the business activity
Right.
so that you have control over it. So
And
that's
one of the
phenomenal.
major things we did when I hired Cameron, when it switched from solopreneur to having full-time staff or having a full-time staff, we changed the name from Emily Davis Photography to Click Studios.
Ding, ding.
That was
Point.
critical.
Good point.
Because
So
now,
what did you go through psychologically with that? You know, there's ownership with that name, and it's
Mhm.
so important that I make sure everything is done right. And I'm sure you read about that when you read some of the posts that people put. It's like, it's theirs, it's mine, this is mine. I want to make sure, folks, there's nothing that you buy that has that level of engagement or emotion involved in it. And the reason I say nothing that you buy, because if you are buying anything that has that level, they're paying a lot more than $65, $75, or $100 for that customized, personalized service. So we have to understand that while we do what is we have an artistic based business or product anyway. We have to remember, we have to separate ourselves and understand that we cannot provide a customized level of service that's
right.
beyond the money that people are willing to spend. So how did you release? That's the bottom line. How did you release? Because that's a hard one.
Well, it was kind of tough at first. It wasn't really tough for me to release it. It was tough to get people to release me. So all of our little hometown stuff we would go to, and I would send Cameron and Deja, and they would be like, well, where's Emily?
Yeah.
Like, we need Emily here. Where is she?
Yeah.
And now, like, all of the accounts that we've booked in the last year and a half, 2 years, they talk to Kelsey, then they talk to Cameron, and they don't even know I exist. Unless they've looked at the website and seen my picture on there, they don't know who I am. So
And
that's
the
great.
name change was incredibly important.
Yeah.
Back in the 1960s, the company name that we had was Calvin Harrell Photography.
Mm-hmm.
And it was painted on the side of vehicles. Guess what? That was not necessarily a good thing for growth. It was cool in the local community, but every phone call that came in, I need to speak to Calvin Harrell. That wasn't me, that was Dad. But it's always, you're the one that they think they have to talk to when they simply want to get a product done. Sometimes you wonder, hey, can I start charging for speaking to these people?
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm not
it's great
impolite,
for nobody to know that
say,
you even exist.
I am wasting time giving you information on the status of your order.
Mm-hmm.
You should be able to go online and find that at this point, or talk to the staff. They'll help you. You know.
Hey,
so.
Emily, I have a question.
Uh-huh.
I'm not a photographer, but I know there's a photographer out there thinking to themselves, what was some of your growing pains that might have happened early on in your first year of deciding to goal set and go into the volume business?
Okay, so I would say the biggest hurdle is just getting over your first hire. And I would say don't start them on a salary, start them hourly. We did at first office hourly and shooting hourly, and those were different amounts. So I think I was paying at first like $16 an hour in the office, and for people who know what they're doing, it's $50 an hour individual shooting. And so that's what Cameron was making at first. And then he was with me from November to the following December, and now he's on salary plus commission. But that first hire is painful because you just are going, I hope I can sell enough to pay this guy or girl or whoever you hire. And then the other thing is equipment growing pains, and it never stops. The very first big league that we ever did, we had over 100 basketball teams at 3 different locations, and we did not have even close to enough lights. So we had like our Godox 600s and 1200s, and then we had some old Alien Bs, and Cameron brought in some Einsteins that he just like had personally, and we were just scrimping together to make sure that we had enough lights to go around and have like one backup at every place. We were renting cameras and lenses for that job. We were just getting it done. And then we used a lot of money off of that job to turn around and buy the equipment so that that wouldn't happen to us next time. And so the amount of money that I've invested on equipment at Click Studios is unreal, but we don't have that problem anymore. We have everything we need, and we're not renting, and we're not freaking out at the last minute because we need stuff. And that sacrifice in the early years is paying off now because I'm not having to put a whole lot of money into equipment these days.
Yeah.
My next question would be, how did you find your Cameron? Like, where did that did it naturally evolve? Did you know Cameron, or how do you find that Cameron?
So none of my full-time employees, I didn't know any of them. And I prefer it that way. I don't want to hire family. I don't want to hire friends. I don't want to hire people who have relationships with me in my community. I want to hire strangers so that if it doesn't work out, I can say, see ya, never again. No more with this person.
Ooh.
So I had put out job ads on Facebook and Indeed and LinkedIn, just looking for the perfect person. And I got for sure over 100 applications of people where it was like, immediately no. Mm-hmm. And then one of my friends who was one of my son's NICU nurses when he was born, she sent me a message on Facebook and said, hey, I hope it's okay. I sent this job ad to my brother-in-law. I think he's your guy. And right about that time, I checked my email and I had an email from Cameron, and I didn't even need to interview him. I read the email. I was like, this is my guy. And so I interviewed him on my birthday in 2021. And he's amazing. Like, he went to school at University of North Texas for media, film. He's a videographer by education, but kind of a photographer by trade. And he worked at Life Touch forever and gained a lot of experience there on volume. And so he kind of came in and I said, this is how we're going to shoot it. You figure out the processes of how we're going to teach other people to do what we do and come do it with us. And that's just kind of how we've been doing it ever since. So he's really, really great at like the manuals and we do it this way every single time. And I'm horrible at that. I'm the person who comes into the shoot and they're like, oh God, what is Emily going to do? Like, Deja sets my lights now. One of our photographers who works full-time with us, I'll come into a job and like, she'll have my whole setup ready to go so that I don't have to do it. Cause I don't do it the same way as everybody else. And I won't learn. I'm a bad employee, good boss, bad employee.
I'm sitting here laughing because at times I actually go into the field and take pictures. Clifford is our lead, as everybody knows. And I will ask Clifford, please, could you come and set the camera, set the white balance? How do you set the white balance on this camera? Hey, Clifford, something's wrong here. What do I do?
Oh, yeah.
And then
I'm self-taught and Cameron's not. And so a lot of the time, like they'll send me out to a preschool because somebody got sick at the last minute and it'll be me who has to go. And I'll get there and the camera's not working right. And I'm calling Cameron, this is what the camera's doing. FaceTime me. I don't know what's wrong with it. And he always gets me back working.
There it is.
Hire people who are better than you. That's my main. When you need a studio manager, go out and find you somebody who's already a studio manager somewhere. And then when you need a sales girl, a sales and accounts manager, go find you somebody who has done sales. Don't get your brother's cousin's girlfriend who just is available for the hours that you need her, or like somebody who only is going to work Tuesdays and Thursdays from 3 to 5 because that's what I think I can afford. All these people are worth their weight in gold. And my business would not be nearly as successful if I didn't hire actual adults who have stake in the game. Like, they got mortgages and car payments and everything else like the rest of us. And, you know, they are motivated and determined to make that money to make the business successful.
Outstanding.
Okay. Follow-up question.
Mm-hmm.
Now that you've kind of got an idea of an employee, how did you create goals to get the new business? Did you go by asking some of the ones you perhaps already had and ask them for contacts to meet other leagues? Or how did you personally go out and start getting the volume business that you needed that first year?
Well, so the first year that I had hired Cameron and I was doing the sales girl role, I just did a lot of like internet looking. I, just type in Dallas-Fort Worth soccer leagues, Dallas-Fort Worth baseball leagues, everything like that, just forming relationships and putting stuff on social media, and people would, our name started getting out there. But you can't rely in the very beginning on just waiting for your name to get out there, because it's going to take a long time. You're going to be waiting a long time if you go that route. So I was cold emailing, cold calling. It was uncomfortable. I'm not a salesperson, but if you can flip on that side of your personality and pretend that you are, just be somebody else for that phone call. And what are the stakes really? I mean, you're calling somebody on a cold call. What's the worst they can tell you? No, they don't know who I am. They'll never talk to me again. They don't remember my name. Worst case scenario, you get stuck, you just hang up. So call them back and say, oh my gosh, my call dropped.
Yeah. It's really interesting. I firmly believe that when we're born, we have a lot of skills that are taken out of us. One of the first skills we have as babies is knowing when to tell somebody we're hungry. Knowing when to tell mommy I'm uncomfortable, etc. We're selling when we're crying as a baby. That baby is selling. It's just making sure you hear them. I am uncomfortable. I am hungry. We, for some reason, have this thing. We're indoctrinated with an idea that sales is a bad thing. It's an ugly thing. Somebody is unscrupulous. They're taking advantage of me because they're in sales. Yet we don't understand that every single transaction that exists, including our interpersonal relationships within the family at the family dinner table, is a sales opportunity. Whether we like it or not, it's sales. We're providing our opinion, our information. We're trading. We're doing a lot of things right there. But so many perceive, well, I'm just a photographer. I don't want to be doing the sales. You're perfectly right when you say, go get a salesperson then. But the reality is you need to break out of that mindset that sales is a bad thing or sales is a negative thing.
Right. And you can flip that script in your head of once I quit the thinking of I'm bothering these people, they don't want to be talking to me, and started going for I'm helping these people, because truly I believe Click Studios, not me, Cameron and Deja and Kenneth and all of our people who are so amazing, we are the best in DFW. Try to find somebody better than us. And I believe that. So like getting on the phone and calling somebody and saying, I can help you. What are you doing right now? Tell me your pain points, because we can make that better for you. And I take it as like I am finding a way to make their experience better. And if they tell me we've got a photographer who we've been with, they're incredible, perfect. Can we sit the bench for you? If anything ever happens with the relationship for that photographer, where can you put my information so that I can call you back, or you can call me if that relationship doesn't end up working out and you need to try.
Boy, you are smooth. Don't tell me anything about not knowing about sales, because when you start using the language that they use, sit on the bench. Can we sit on the bench for you? I'm ready to play coach. That's a language that anybody in any league understands real clearly. Good for you. I mean, just tease us a little bit with that sort of thing, okay? It works well.
It does work well.
Yeah, it works well.
And it's not pushy. It's like, oh, you've got somebody? Awesome. I love that for you. If it ever doesn't work out, if you're ever looking to do something different, we'll be here. So how do we keep in touch? What is your preferred method for me to just check in with you? And let me tell you about our very biggest league. We've got a league who does, we do all of their sports. It's a city league, and they bring in well over $100,000 for us a year. And I talk to this lady every 3 months for a year and a half, and would just call her. I sent her mail. I sent her a Christmas card from Click Studios. I sent her all this stuff. And finally, I was speaking at SPAC. We were in Orlando, about to go to the Universal Studios park. And she called me and she was like, all right, Emily, we're ready. What do we need to do? So you just got to be relentless, but kind. It's not bothering them. It's like, hey, I'm just checking in. I hope you're having a great season. Is there anything we can do for you? No? Okay. I'll talk to you in 3 months. Bye, Jennifer.
I love it. And those are techniques that work with the school or sports volume market.
Yes.
You simply have to be a present. If you're not giving them attention, don't expect to make a call, get an appointment, go in the door and get the job.
Right.
The other thing is, never think that the business that's at that entity is your business. It's not. You're lucky enough to be able to bless them with your services, but you don't own that account. And if you screw it up, you don't get to say, oops, sorry, you're gone.
Right.
So own it and do it right, and be sure you create relationships, because those relationships help get you a pass when there is a problem. We know it's a problem. We understand. They're good. You know, they're not going to let it happen again, and they'll retain. You can retain it. But
that was the key point of hiring Kelsey, my sales and accounts manager, was I had so much on my plate trying to be a photographer and an editor and a customer service person and a salesperson that I wasn't keeping up my relationships. And I was really good at getting the business, really bad at keeping the business, because they would say, oh yeah, we never got our commission from her because she never sent it. And I would not send it because just wasn't at the front of my brain. You know, we released that gallery, we moved on, and I wasn't thinking about commissions or checking back in and making sure that the president of the board hadn't changed and all this other stuff that's a full-time job. And that's what Kelsey does. She doesn't edit. She doesn't take pictures. She does nothing but sell and maintain our accounts.
That's fabulous. Well, you figured out how to make it happen. Now we're going to watch you continue to grow. And congratulations, for sure. For sure.
Emily,
Corey, you got any other follow-up?
I just have one follow-up question. So, Emily, I always ask this question. Give me your perspective, and how did you enjoy SPAC for yourself? Obviously, you were a speaker and you shared a lot of information, but you hope to gain something. So what was it that maybe that you learned or dawned on you or light bulb went off this year at SPAC?
It was great. Learned a lot from Jerry Hughes's presentation. He did a lot of stuff on social media, and we are not big on social media just because we prospect all of our accounts. But I want to get a little bit better on social media as we add senior sessions into our business this year. We're building on some land that we have in the town that we're in. And so we're building a 3,200 square foot studio that's going to be ready in June. And we're so excited because all of our seniors will come there for their cap and gown, tux and drape. And then we're going to launch volume senior sessions. So not like a $4,000 price point, but like more like a $1,500 price point, and just cycle them through, get them out of there. So we're really excited to do that. And I'm going to take a lot of Jerry's techniques and start doing some social media stuff for the studio. Who else? There was a guy from Midlothian in Texas talking about RFPs for yearbook. That was really, really valuable. Who else did I go see? Everybody was good. It's hard to.
So you obviously had a good time.
Yes, it's great. And being in Vegas, I mean, how can you beat it? That's
hey, you talked about yearbook just now, the RFPs for yearbooks and that sort of thing. Have you moved into the yearbook realm of producing yearbooks for your schools?
No, we just take the yearbook pictures. We've never created a yearbook before.
Okay. All right.
Fantastic. Well, sounds like you got some goals, because you've got some goals for yourself, building a new building, taking on the volume kind of senior market. That's going to be exciting for you. Well, I thank you so much for sharing again with our community. We love that you are willing to do so. And I'm sure all of our people watching appreciate it as well.
Absolutely.
Well, thanks for having me.
Emily, you know, we really would love to see you come back as a speaker. So we need you to really understand that the May 1st date, get your application in.
I'll do it.
Okay. It starts on May 1st
great.
and it's done on June 1st, I think, or something.
July
so
1st.
July. Corey, help me out.
July 1st deadline.
Okay.
Awesome.
July 1st. But please get yours in, because I'm certain there'll be another room full of folks that want to understand, okay, how did you make your growth move in literally less than 5 years? That's phenomenal. I want to congratulate you from an industry perspective. You've done a phenomenal job understanding and adapting from a solopreneur to a true entrepreneur, which is a business builder. Congratulations, ladies.
Thank you, guys.
All right.
You're welcome.
Right. Hey, Corey, you were going to make some announcements, because we have this new scholarship program that we finally got in place to launch.
I'm so excited.
That is going to be 3 different scholarships for different regions of the country. You're going to have collateral material that our attendee members can download. They can drop their logo onto the bottom of it, and then there's an application form. Talk to us about it, Corey.
Okay, so everybody, we talked about it at SPAC 2024. We teased you with it, and we are ready to launch it today. So SPAC has a $1,500 scholarship called the Young Creative Scholarship. This is geared towards that high school senior that may be your yearbook editor, or maybe a senior editor for their section, or photojournalism, newspaper school, something like that. Basically, you get the idea of who this is targeted to. It's very easy. It's within the United States. We're going to have 3 $1,500 scholarships, one for the East Coast, one for Central, and one for the West Coast. The application is very simple. It's a Google form. We do require that they submit some artwork or pages of yearbook layouts that they've done, as well as some letters of recommendation. But the most important thing is, folks, and please listen to me when I say this, that you are the ones that are going to drive this possibility for your students that you deal with. You're the ones in the schools. You're the ones, even if you're not doing yearbooks, if you're just doing their senior business or their undergrad business, they have a yearbook. They know who you're talking about. Maybe it's a great way of opening the door of getting the yearbook business. But we are going to be emailing at 3:00 today. Everybody will get in their email an email about this, as well as a downloadable PDF flyer. We have intentionally left a big empty space at the bottom. So if you want to plop in your company name and your contact information, that's where it goes. Please share this with all of your schools. Share this with your principals, your activities directors. Again, even if you don't have the yearbook business, that's okay. We're trying to fill our pipeline. So that way, in a few years, we will have some great qualified young adults ready to jump into the business with all of us and help you with some of your hiring struggles. So here is the image that we've got. We are also going to be, this is a QR code, which is also on the flyer. That QR code directly takes them to the details of the scholarship as well as the application form. And so we are going to be ready. It's open now. Deadline is May 15th so that we can award those students. We're also working with some camera operators, and it might come with a camera and lens kit as well. We haven't formally firmed that up yet, but we're hoping to add a camera for each of those scholarship recipients. We will look forward to hopefully one of your schools' seniors is getting it, because we'd like to include you on that presentation as well as those announcements. We, again, are trying to outreach this within the United States. We want you to get access to those names and those principles. Calvin, it can really go any way. We're really looking forward to this. It's also on our website, is also there.
Yeah, I was wondering, Corey, I know we're talking to some of the camera people. Maybe we should name their names so that they can be a little embarrassed and say, I got 3 cameras for you. I'm coming.
We have a commitment from Sony for one for sure. So
Fantastic.
I do know Sony is in on one. So
we
might be my challenge for Panasonic and Canon to jump on the bandwagon, or anybody. But it's a great way of actually supporting the industry in a way of filling our pipeline.
Right. Hey, and you know what?
What do you think about that?
You can take that artwork and rebuild it if you like, and make posters to send to deliver, drop off at your high schools or high schools in your area, or you can order them. You know what I'm saying? You can order them. Sign 365 is one. There are certainly other large format printers that you can access to make posters to go at the school. You know, your name being on the bottom of it is a huge value when you look at a poster in a school, and they put up posters that have scholarship. You can't put up a poster with your, samples of your work, but you certainly can put up a poster that has your name, logo, et cetera, et cetera. And it looks like we got some people that are chiming in to say, you know what, that's fantastic. And cameras, this is unbelievable. So that's good. I'm glad the work that you've done, that Beth has done on pulling this together, this endeavor together, has been very, very good. And we appreciate all the work that you do.
So the simple reminder is the application period is open now.
Yeah.
Deadline is May 15th. They do have to upload some letters of recommendation, some sample projects, and we will be in touch. Hope to be able to make the announcement at the very end of May so that those seniors can count on that money, because $1,500 will do a lot of good.
Yeah, that's a book scholarship. I mean, whatever. Heck, trust me. Somebody's mother sees their kid is getting $1,500. They're happy. I don't care where it's coming from. Okay. So, all right. Is that it for today, Corey?
That is it, Emily. I want to thank you again for your time and your energy, and congratulations on your wonderful successes and many, many more to come. I cannot wait to see your update in 2025 SPAC. By the way, the dates for that is also on the website. And our speakers, if you were ready to send in your proposal, you will find that link available also on May 1st. Deadline for that is July 1st. That's it for me. That
sounds like a winner. Hey, thank you.
Are you all set? Ready to go resume your great Tuesday?
Thank you for joining us today, you guys. We hope to see you next week. Same time, same station. We'll be streaming at 2 p.m. Pacific Coast time. And I'm not sure who the next presenter is, but we'll get that out there in a blast that hits Facebook. So thanks a lot for joining us. Have a wonderful week. Oh, and by the way, for those of you that celebrate the Easter season, happy Easter. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.